Welcome to the Master of the NEC podcast, the ultimate destination for anyone passionate about the electrical trade. Whether you're a seasoned electrician, an eager apprentice, or just someone who wants to dive deep into the world of electrical work, you've come to the right place. Join your host, Paul Abernathy, a true authority in the industry with over 38 years of trade experience, as he electrifies your mind with in-depth discussions, expert tips, and valuable insights that will keep you ahead of the curve. Each episode, Paul will illuminate the complexities of the trade, decode the National Electrical Code, and share the latest industry trends, all while empowering you to take your electrical career to the next level. So, gear up, plug in, and get ready to supercharge your knowledge, because with the Master of the NEC podcast, the power is in your hands. Now get ready. Here is your host, Paul Abernathy.
Hello! What's up, everybody? Paul Abernathy here, coming to you with another episode here at Master the NEC podcast. Now, today's episode is going to touch a lot of people because today we're going to talk a little bit about throwing in the towel. There's people that want to throw in the towel, especially when it comes to learning the National Electrical Code. I'm seeing a trend lately where people are struggling to learn the NEC. And they're just, the way they're talking is they want to throw money at whatever solution. And basically they're at the edge of where they're ready to throw in the towel. And I got to kind of pull them back from the edge. And I got to say, look, it's a mindset. It's a focus. The NEC is not an easy document to understand. But again, there are people out there who will listen to this podcast and say, Paul, that's bull crap. The code is easy, yada, yada, yada. I got my license on the first try, whatever. I'm not talking to you because you're not the norm. Look, I wouldn't have thousands and thousands of students and so many people offer exam prep and teaching the National Electrical Code if it was an easy topic. So if you're somebody out there that says, no, I don't need all that, then you don't. Kudos to you. You don't. But you're in the minority because the vast majority of people out there struggle with understanding the National Electrical Code. So today's episode, I want to talk a little bit to those folks out there who are really struggling and don't understand that it is worth the time, the effort, the motivation, the determination to reap the rewards. And so I want to talk to those people out there today. Now, again, it's not going to be a sales pitch. I'm not trying to pitch you into our Fast Tracks program, even though it is the most extensive program out there on the planet when it comes to all the resources to help you. But it's like anything. You can lead a horse to water, but you cannot make them drink. I mean, it is what it is, okay? It doesn't matter how much you compile, how much you put together, whether it's videos, lessons, little tips and tricks, ability to ask questions, have a dedicated comment forum or interaction discussion forum. It doesn't matter because if you're not using all of those tools, then you're not using it to the maximum capability, okay? And you're just setting yourself up for failure. But let's take a step back and re-examine why some people may be struggling. And this may be you, okay? If you're listening, this may be you. You may be able to fall in this category. But what I'm finding and what I'm seeing is that a lot of people, they've had deadlines set, right, for when they need to pass this exam. Of course, that's an immense amount of pressure to put on yourself, okay? I get it. But they set these deadlines, but they don't start learning the code or start coming to the code until the stress is already at a certain level. And now they dump on top of that the fact that they have somebody giving them this deadline and they just now starting to learn. So there's two paths that people go down. And one of these may be yours. One, they go down it and they kick the can and the next thing you know, they're running out of time and they're just weeks away and they've really just wasted a lot of time. They didn't structurally study properly. Then there's some people who study for a long time, but they still kick the can. They don't sit down and be dedicated to it. And basically, the clock keeps ticking until they just run out of time, and they want to blame everything but the fact that they did not study properly. Then there's the person that doesn't start to study, doesn't even get the course, doesn't even get into it, right? Until they've only got a couple weeks before the exam. And then they think that buying a program or a course, or that there's this golden nugget out there that's going to help them pass the exam, like they're going to be able to absorb it in a short amount of time. And the NEC is a very technical document. In fact, it's not designed for the average person. Not to say that every electrician's an average person, because you're not. You're in an amazing field. You've chosen that to be your profession. But it is not an easy document. There are things in that document that make it hard. And some people say, well, why don't we write it easier? Well, because it's for technical people. And once you understand the secret sauce of how to read the code, and understanding what ands and or means, and shall not, and shall be permitted and shall not be permitted, understanding how to break down the structure of the code, and understanding what exceptions mean and what permissive and mandatory statements mean, and really start putting your head into the situation. When you go to the code, you're saying, okay, what problem am I trying to solve? Only then will you truly understand it. Okay. Now, there are people out there that prey on people that are struggling, and they make sensationalistic posts or thumbnails or whatever on social media and YouTubes and all in order to get your money. I don't do that. I tell you that our courses are designed to be structurally, and I tell people over and over again, you need to give it at least 90 days of dedicated study. That is at least 2 times a week, 4 hours dedicated, no disruptions per study session. Dedication. You need to do the competency reviews. You need to have somebody else grade them, or at least grade them and understand where your weaknesses are. And if you don't score very well, you go back and you do the unit again. Even though that sounds redundant, something did not catch. Something did not sink through. That's reading comprehension issues. Now, if you're interested, I just did a short article. It's available over on our website, fasttracksystem.com, but it's also on our LinkedIn as well, and Facebook, and also over on our forum over at the necchat.com. It basically talks about that not everybody can read the NEC and be able to dissect it and understand what the question is asking. And that's important, because every exam, as in the real world, there's always a why, what, where, when, why, how. It's the same thing for an exam. So they ask you a question. There could be fluff in that question that is just there for filler, but you have to be able to look at a question and dissect it and say, what are you asking me? What is the condition of use that I'm in? And how do I solve this using the National Electrical Code? That's the kind of question, the mentality that you have to kind of get into when it comes to those type of things. Taking an exam is just a short piece of time. It stresses people out right now. They're studying for an exam. They got to have it, but many people are not preparing properly. And you got to stop listening to other people that may already have their license, that already went through it, who may say, I don't know what your problem is. I found it easy, or this state's harder than that state, or whatever. It's not like that. Every state is equal, okay? The exam is the exam. Most states, PSI write the exam, and in other states, it's written by the body. Look, it's all based on the code. So people ask me, do we teach courses for journeyman versus master? And I tell them no. And people say, well, I can go out here on Amazon and buy a course or a book for journeyman test prep and one for master. I'm like, sure. And they're going to sell you 2 separate books. The NEC is the NEC, the National Electrical Code. I don't care about local amendments. We don't care about whatever your jurisdiction. That doesn't matter on the exam. The exam is based on the National Electrical Code. You'll learn all that stuff once you're out in the field. So when you're studying, we teach you everything as a whole. And so you'll have calculations. But you know what I'm finding? And I'm not saying this was the vast majority because we have a lot of students in our programs, thousands of students. But lately I'm seeing some students that are stressing out. And I think it's because they did not give themselves the right amount of time to study. They're not following the plan. And like Dave Ramsey says, for your financial baby steps, there is a plan for learning the National Electrical Code, not just to take an exam, but to be able to retain it and apply it in the field. Look, if you're searching for that weekend crash course that's going to teach you the National Electrical Code to a point where you remember it for an exam, you're sadly mistaken. If I had $1 for every person that reached out to me that said, I took a class over the weekend, I took a prep class, 2 days, 8 hours each day, and I still failed the exam. If I had $1 for every one of those that I received, I'd be a wealthy man. Okay. Yeah. But they ultimately end up contacting me anyway, and I explained to them that that's not how you're going to learn it. That's okay for a refresher if you want. If you have the money, again, the more you can learn, the better. But the problem is the vast majority of students wait until the last minute to start studying. That's why I tell people that are in apprentice programs or journeymans that are going to be a master and maybe they're still trying to get their time. They ask, when should I start studying? Like it's all of a sudden they should wait until they get the amount of hours they have and then just sit down for the exam. That's not how to do it, you know. The code is something that you start learning from the day you enter an apprenticeship program. Now, granted, you're going to learn the hands-on. That's critically important. You need to shut up, listen, learn, absorb. You'll find out that things that you were taught over time are inaccurate. You'll learn that sometimes people are teaching you stuff because they don't know and it's misleading, but they just don't know. And this is how they learned. And they propagate that by sharing improper information down the line. And that's what causes a problem. And look, I'm not here to say I'm holier than thou. I'm just saying that when I share information, it's based on code logic. It's based on historical data and a solid interpretation of how we teach the code. You can disagree with me, that's fine. But when you're out in the field and you're learning, one of the biggest mistakes that you can make is taking what anybody that just happens to hold a license says for gospel. You need to do your own research always because people believe rule of thumbs that are inaccurate. People will quote other people inaccurately. In fact, sometimes they will take statements and twist them in order to make their belief seem more plausible. And that's just not a way to teach things. That just propagates falsehoods and misleading information. So if you're studying, I'm talking to you folks out there that are getting frustrated. You either don't give yourself enough time, you don't ask enough questions. And I should elaborate on that. And again, it's not me pushing our course, but any good exam prep program should be more than a book or a video. Okay? You should have the ability to ask a question, interact with your instructor, have a forum of other students where you can go and post things and get feedback and have the instructor come in and educate and do all this. We do all that with our programs. So I just had a guy say to me, he says, Paul, I'm struggling. I read the program and I sometimes struggle with understanding some concepts. And I asked him, I said, did you post your question in the comments? Do you post your questions on our message board? Do you ask for clarification if something's confusing? Because I have no doubt that when you're putting together training, there's only so much you can water it down. It's still technical jargon. And they go, no, I didn't ask questions or I don't want to ask questions. Well, your shyness has to be overcome by asking questions. You have to be engaged if you expect to learn. If you're reading something, and again, I've told people this forever, reading comprehension is something I struggle with. Many people struggle with. It's why they had reading comprehension in middle school and high school and SATs and and all these types of things is because reading something and absorbing it is critically important. Now, my wife can sit down and read a book. And, you hear people say that reading a book when they base a movie after a book, they say, no, the movie's nothing like the book. And I'm like, dude, you got to give me the movie. Why is that? Not because I think I learned so much from the movie. It's just that I know that if I get into a novel that 10 pages in, I'm going to forget what the hell I just read because I just don't retain it. It doesn't mean it's not a great book. It's probably an amazing book. It's just my own limitation. And I'm not going to blame the author. I'm not going to blame the book. I'm not even going to blame the movie for its lack of attention to detail on the novel because they get to have their creative licensure to kind of go whatever direction they want. But when it comes to code, this is very technical stuff. And so if you're learning and you're getting frustrated with the code, it's not really the book's fault. It's not the code's fault. It's your inability to comprehend it. And that can be overcome. But you have to do it in baby steps. You have to do it slowly. You have to learn the process of breaking it down. Does that mean that it may take you twice as long to learn something than somebody else, maybe your neighbor or a coworker or a friend who maybe they cling to this stuff easy and you don't? Does that make them a better electrician than you? Hell no, it doesn't. So at the end of the day, I'm seeing people that do get frustrated because it is technical code jargon. And you know what? We've tried in our programs, at least, I can't speak for others. We have tried to break it down in a way that makes it logical. That's why we give chevrons for you to go into the code book and come back. We didn't base this on anything that was groundbreaking. Okay. So, it's code is code. And it really doesn't matter whose course you're using. It really doesn't. The difference in different courses is what else they give you. What kind of additional support do you get? If you just buy a book on Amazon, exam prep, maybe it's just exam prep questions, do not expect anything extra from an author. Do not expect anything extra from the company that publishes it. It's just a book. It doesn't mean it's bad. Doesn't mean you can't learn from it. But that's all it is. It's a book. Don't set your expectations so damn high. Okay? Nobody can guarantee. So when you see these courses out there that say we guarantee a pass, they're full of crap. They don't guarantee a pass. What they do is they'll let you take the program over again. Well, we do the same thing. It's just that your program never expires. You can stay in it as long as you want to. That's the course itself. So that's all they're doing. It's just a play on words. And you can ask as many questions and you can, interact, with us. You have many ways that you can ask the questions. And you know what? If you're not asking questions and you're in our program, that's your fault. Don't blame the program. Look in the mirror. Blame yourself. Because I answer thousands of questions a month to people all over the country on code. And I most certainly will answer questions for those that are in our program. If you don't ask it, don't expect me to read your mind. That type of scenario. So I think the biggest problem I see with people is they want to give up because they think it's hard. Well, nothing worth earning is easy. It's got to mean something. It's just like our CMECP program. Most of the students that go through our program, or the electricians that go through our program, we're hands off until they start getting to about unit 12 or 13 or 14. We are hands off. We let them submit their units. They got plenty of time. And we kind of let them keep going forward because we do not want them to go back and start losing time. We want them to keep pushing forward because there is a time limit, 4 months. So we have learned that we're better to just let them submit their work to be graded. Don't start giving any feedback until they get to about unit 12. Let them work through their stuff. That's what we do, because if we go back and forth, then it just eats up time. It's much easier once they've done all their units to them to get graded, and then they can go back and retake a unit if they need to, because it's not a time thing anymore. You get me? That's the big thing, the time thing. So my message to those out there that are studying for an electrical exam, relax, give yourself enough time. Too much pressure. If you're just now looking at buying a course, hey, I tell people this all the time. Trust me. If you've only got a couple weeks before your exam, do not buy my program. Do not buy my program. Do not buy my program. It's too much information to try to absorb. You're just going to get frustrated. Now, do people still buy it? Yep, you do, you boo. And the good news is that you can keep, if you don't pass, then you can keep studying, and eventually you will. But if you get our program and you did it only because you got a couple weeks left and you want to study and you want to pay, I don't recommend it, because what's going to happen is people say, well, I've got time. I'm going to study all day, every day. That is not the way to study. That is burnout. You're going to start getting to where everything just jumbles together. That's the problem with those crash courses on weekends, that they try to teach you so many tips and tricks and everything that it starts getting confusing, and now you start asking yourself questions. And if you can't answer those questions, that's when you get frustrated. Now, I find with most students that are in an exam prep style course like ours, that you'll get to a point where you start second guessing yourself. That's not a bad thing. That means that you're learning and absorbing the information, and now you're starting to have a conflict with what you thought was supposed to be done a certain way, and now you're seeing that it is different. That's okay. That's one of those hurdles. You'll overcome it. You'll blow past it, okay? It's kind of like fasting. Fasting's hard when you start out, but you'll get to a plateau, and then you'll think it's not working anymore, and then you blow through it. Or it could be like when you're smoking a brisket. You smoke that brisket till the point where it stalls. You might think it's never going to happen. And so you're like, oh my God, this is never going to happen. Then all of a sudden, boom, it happens. And you get to that beautiful temperature where everything's great, right? So it's kind of the way you have to think about it, okay? I always have to break things down into food, as I like food. But anyway. All right, so all of you out there, don't give up. Keep pushing forward. Ask your questions. Use the system to its full benefit. It's there for you. Whoever program you're in, make sure that they're working for you to learn the National Electrical Code, not just for an exam, but in the real world, because you're going to be confronted with questions. And that is why we created TradeHog, so that you can actually have a little support once you're in the field to ask questions. So we built the TradeHog model after that. Now, TradeHog, I don't expect people, I really don't think people should be buying the premium one, even though Jeff and them would hate me saying that. I think that the most people don't need, the basic is really all they need if you're a heavy user. And if you're a light user, then the light version is the best way to go. But the choices are always up to the consumer, however they want to do it, that type of thing. If you're not using it nearly as much as you thought, then switch to the light version and do that. But anyway, that's for another time. All right, folks, hopefully you got something out of today's episode. For those out there that are struggling, give yourself time. Focus. You're going to get this. It's not easy for you. It's not easy for many people. Don't listen to the haters. Don't listen to the people that say, I never had any problem with it. Don't listen to people say, well, I don't know why you're having a problem. I took it and I got it right away. You know what? They're not you. You're you. That's all that matters. Okay? All right, folks. That's all we got. Until next time on another episode, take care. God bless. And have a great week.
Thanks for tuning into another electrifying episode of the Masters the NEC podcast. We hope you're feeling more powered up and ready to tackle the electrical world with the knowledge and confidence you need to succeed. Remember, in the electrical trade, knowledge is power, and we're here to make sure you stay plugged into the latest insights, tips, and code updates. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and share the podcast with your fellow electricians and industry pros. Until next time, keep your tools sharp, your circuits clear, and your mind focused, because here at the Master the NEC podcast, we're all about sparking your success. Stay safe, stay smart, and keep mastering the trade. From all of us here at Electrical Code Academy, thank you for all your support, and we will see you on the next amazing Master the NEC podcast episode.